Franklin, Tennessee just closed out one of its busiest months of the year. 174 homes sold in May alone. If you're trying to figure out whether now is the right time to buy or sell in one of the most sought after cities in the entire country, I've got the full picture for you right here. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, if Franklin is on your radar, you've got questions about the market, a specific neighborhood, or just whether the timing makes sense for your situation, I help buyers every day and sellers navigate exactly this. Drop a comment, shoot me a message, hit the link in the description. I generally love to help. Now, the May numbers. So let's set the stage. Franklin had 174 closings in May. That's a strong, active month. To give you a sense of what's actually selling here, the typical home that closed was right around 3,300 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and a half. Built around 2001 on average. So you're looking at a mix of well-established neighborhoods alongside communities that were developed in the early 2000s boom period when Franklin was really starting to take off. What makes Franklin unique as Williamson County is that it has more range than almost anywhere else in the area. You've got the historic downtown, the walkable neighborhoods within a mile of Main Street, the newer master plan communities on the outskirts, and everything in between. That breadth is reflected in the data, and it's part of why 174 homes can close in a single month, while Brentwood, with all of its prestige, closes a fraction of that volume. First, activity. We went from 146 closings in April to 174 in May. That's nearly 20% more transactions in a single month. The spring market is clearly in full swing. Buyers are active, and Franklin is absorbing that demand. The profile of what's selling stayed consistent. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, right around 3,000 square feet. But May had noticeably a higher volume of those homes changing hands. Average square footage dipped slightly from about 3,500 in April to about 3,300 in May. Interestingly, the median actually went up from 3,100 to just over 3,200. What that tells us is May had a few smaller homes on the lower end that pulled the average down. But the core of the market, the homes most buyers are actually competing for, was slightly larger than April. Both months land solidly in that 3,000 to 3,000 square foot, 4 bedroom range that defines Franklin's sweet spot. Average sales price came down a touch from April to May from about 1.4 to about 1.35. But here's the more meaningful number. The median sales price was right around 1.1 both months. That consistently tells you the heart of Franklin market is rock solid. The slight dip in the average is just a reflection of fewer ultra high-end sales closing in May, not a softening of values across the board. Here's what I find really compelling about May. Price per square foot actually went up from April. We went from $386 in April to $398 in May. So even though the average sales price dipped, buyers were paying more per square foot for the homes they bought. That's a sign of quality in the inventory that moved, and it's a healthy signal for values. Franklin real estate is not getting cheaper on a per square foot basis. It's doing the opposite. Days on market has been remarkably consistent. 10 days in April, 9 days in May. That means the typical Franklin home is going under contract in about a week and a half. Not as lightning fast as Brentwood, but make no mistake, this is still a market that moves. If you see something you love, you don't have the luxury of a 2-week deliberation. The window is short. Sellers are consistently getting within 1 or 2% of their asking price, almost identical month over month. That means this isn't a market where buyers have meaningful negotiation leverage. If a home is priced right, selling close to or at that number. The days of submitting an offer 20% below ask and seeing what happens, that's not Franklin in 2026. Now, let's compare to where Franklin was exactly 1 year ago, because this is where the real story gets interesting. Volume actually came in down slightly year over year, 193 closings last May versus 174 this May. What's worth noting, it doesn't mean demand dropped. It more likely reflects inventory levels. There are simply fewer homes coming to market than there were a year ago, so fewer homes are closing. That's a supply story, not a demand story. And if anything, it puts upward pressure on prices, which is exactly what the data shows. The average sales price went from about 1.22 last May to 1.35 this May. That's over $100,000 of appreciation in 12 months on the average transaction. And the median, which cuts out the noise from the highest and lowest sales, went from 1.09 to 1.1. Consistent, steady appreciation right in the middle of the market. Price per square foot, Franklin buyers paid $384 last month. This May, they're paying $398. That's roughly a 3.5% to 4% increase in real estate values on a square foot basis in 1 year. That might not sound dramatic, but a $1 million home that's $35,000 to $40,000 of appreciation. It adds up fast, and it's been consistent. Bigger homes selling this year is also a point we're going to talk about. One thing that stands out year over year is that homes selling in May are noticeably larger than what sold last May, both on average and the median. We're talking about a couple of hundred square feet difference, which is meaningful. It suggests buyers this year are stretching a little further, prioritizing space, and the inventory that's available is skewing slightly larger. 4 bedrooms and 3+ baths is the standard. That hasn't changed, but buyers are getting more square footage for their dollar this year than last. So days on market is essentially unchanged. 10 days last year, 9 days this year. Franklin has been remarkably consistent in this regard. It's not getting dramatically faster or slower. It just moves at a steady, brisk pace that keeps both buyers and sellers on their toes. If you're a buyer, here's what the data is telling you. Franklin has been appreciating steadily. Inventory is tighter than it was a year ago, and homes are still moving under 2 weeks. The combination of those 3 things means the longer you wait, the more you're likely to pay and the less you're likely to choose from. The good news is you're buying into a market with incredible fundamentals. Franklin's downtown, its school system, its job market draw, its lifestyle, these aren't going anywhere. When you buy real estate here, you're buying into something with a real track record of holding and growing its value. My practical advice, get a pre-approval now, know your budget ceiling, and be clear on what neighborhoods or communities fit your lifestyle before you start touring. At $398 per square foot and a 9-day median, you don't have time to figure those things out after you fall in love with a house. For sellers, the backdrop is generally strong. Prices are higher than they were a year ago. Buyers are active, 174 closings in a single month is real velocity. And sellers are still consistently getting within 1% to 2% of their asking price, which means when you price it right, the market delivers. What I'd caution against is overconfidence. Franklin's range is wide. There are homes under 500,000 and homes well over 2 million, all closing in the same month. Your home needs to be priced based on what actually sold in your specific neighborhood and price band, not on what you've heard the market is doing generally. Buyers in this price range are informed. They're comparing your home to 3 or 4 others, and if you're priced out of line with the comps, they'll walk. Prepare your home well, price it with precision, and Franklin's demand takes care of the rest. You should be under contract within 2 to 3 weeks at a number you feel great about. So that's your Franklin market update for May of 2026. One of the things I love about covering this market is the story is never boring. There's always something meaningful happening, and the data always has something real to say if you know how to read it. If you found this helpful, subscribe. I drop these every month for Franklin, Brentwood, Fairview, and the broader Williamson County area. And if you want to have a real conversation about your next move, whether that's buying, selling, or just understanding where you stand, reach out. The link in the description will get you connected with me directly. I'd love to help you. See you next month.